In this lesson, we're going to be looking at the IELTS Writing Task 2, the advantages and disadvantages question. In this lesson, you will learn the different advantages versus disadvantages questions, brainstorm ideas, the best structure to use for your essay, and the easy way to write Band 7 introductions, body paragraphs, and conclusions. Let's get straight on with it. In the advantage and disadvantage essay type, there are 3 different types of questions. Here they are. Number 1, discuss the advantages and the disadvantages and give your opinion. Number 2, do you think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages? Number 3, what are the advantages and the disadvantages? Now, in these 3 questions, the purple and the pink are asking you to give your opinion. And number 3, the one in the black, it is not asking you to give your opinion. So whenever I add the opinion in the essay that we're going to write now, it means we're discussing one of these 2. If you get this one, you don't need to add your opinion. Now, in the question, it might say advantages and disadvantage, but there are other synonyms that might come up on the test. Here's a couple of them. So for advantages, the question could say something like the pros or the benefits, and the disadvantages could be the cons or the downsides. They all mean the same thing. They're all the good things and the bad things about the topic. Here's the question we're going to be looking at today. Many schools have had to move their classes online. Discuss both the advantages and the disadvantages and give your opinion. So as we can see, we get a statement. Many schools have had to move their classes online, and the question is asking you to give the advantages and the disadvantages and then give your opinion of which one is stronger, the advantages or the disadvantages. The first thing we need to do with any essay is to plan and brainstorm ideas. So let's do that right now. As you know from all my other videos, I like to use the cheeseburger structure. Here's what it looks like for this specific essay. So as you can see, the bun is the introduction. The meat of the essay in the double cheeseburger is first, the advantage you can learn from home, and second, no group work or social. Finally, we're going to give our conclusion, which is where we're going to give our opinion. When you're writing an introduction, you need to make sure that it has 3 key components. Number 1 is you paraphrase the statement. Many schools have had to move to online classes. You need to paraphrase that. We're going to look how to do that in the next step. Number 2, you need to summarize your main points. And because you've planned correctly, you know exactly what your main points are. And number 3, give a thesis statement or give your opinion. If the question asks you to, our question does ask us to, so the last part of the introduction is to give my thesis statement or give my opinion. If it doesn't say give your opinion, then you don't need this part of the introduction. But for this essay, we do. So these are the 3 things that we need. Let's start with paraphrase the statement. So we're going to start our introduction with the paraphrasing of the sentence. So let's have a look what we can paraphrase. We can change many to a lot of. We could change schools to educational establishments. We could change move to migrate or shift. And we can change online classes to online lessons. Let's have a look how that will look in our paraphrased statement. A lot of educational establishments have had to shift to online classes. We now need to mention our arguments, and again, we know this by looking at our plan. So to summarize our main point, we know that some students like to work from home, but others will miss the social dynamics. So let's write that in. Some students are happy that they could stay at home, but others miss group work. So we've summed up our 2 main arguments that are coming up in the rest of the essay. The next thing is the thesis statement or give your opinion. Disadvantages outweigh the advantages. So I'm going to write that. So simply I've put in my opinion, which is a key word you can use to show the examiner that you're giving an opinion. In my opinion, the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, or the disadvantages are greater than the advantages, or I believe the disadvantages outweigh the advantages. There's many ways to write it, but let's keep it simple for now. Just write a thesis statement and then your introduction is done with a paraphrase of the statement, a summary of your point, and your thesis statement where you say which side you are on. Let's now move on to the body paragraph. Okay, so now our introduction is done, we're going to move straight on to the body paragraphs. And just like the introduction, there are 3 things that must be in every good Band 7 body paragraph. Number 1, A topic sentence that gives the main idea of the paragraph. We already know what this is going to be because of our plan. We know it's going to be about the advantages of learning from home. But first thing you need is a topic sentence. The second thing you need to do is developmental sentence. This will develop your topic sentence and give some more the idea of the paragraph as a whole. I'm going to show you how to write them in a sec. Finally, try and give an example or even more development. It doesn't matter which way around, but examples are always good. And that's what you need to do in your paragraphs. Let's try and write one now using this body paragraph structure. Let's start with the topic sentence, which we already know because of our plan. So my topic sentence for the first body paragraph is, the main advantage of online lessons is that students can study from home. You could also change advantage here to benefit or pro, depending on how many times you've used each of these words. They're mostly interchangeable. So the main benefit of online lessons is that students can study from home. Great, we have our topic sentence. That's the main idea of the paragraph. Let's develop it a little bit. So I've developed the sentence by saying this means that they don't have to commute to school and they can use the time saved to do extra study, have more time in bed, or exercise. That's good. Let's add an example. My example is, some students get stressed by a long commute, so they can now start studying with a relaxed mindset. This is a body paragraph. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a band 7. So if you could follow this structure of topic sentence, development, and example, I'm going to show you again in the second body paragraph, where we're going to look at the disadvantages of online learning. Let's do that now. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing for the disadvantage part, or the second body paragraph, or the second burger if we're using our double cheeseburger structure. So the topic sentence, as we know, is going to be about how there's no social or group works. Let's write that now. It's always a good idea to start with a cohesive device or a linking word so you can differentiate the paragraphs. When it's advantage, disadvantages, it's always best to use on the other hand. So that's how we'll start. So my topic sentence for this paragraph is, a huge disadvantage to online learning is that students cannot work in groups or socialize. As you can see, I've added a linking word that links it to the previous paragraph. So, on the other hand, a huge disadvantage to online learning is that students cannot work in groups or socialize. And as you know from the plan, we know exactly what we're going to write. Okay, let's develop this sentence a little bit more. So my development sentence is, students need to work with their peers so they can discuss the topics with equals and solve problems together by collaborating on the teacher's tasks. So it's developed the idea of them not being able to work in a group. They're saying why it's bad that they cannot work in groups. Now let's write an example. So my example sentence for this body paragraph is, when learning online, researchers say that teachers spend 70% more time lecturing the class, which means less chance for students to collaborate. That's it. You've added your extra sentences. We've used our planning time to create these body paragraphs. Now all that's left to do is give our opinion and sum up our ideas in the conclusion. Let's look at the conclusion right now. Okay, so in the conclusion, there is 2 things that you need to do. The first thing you need to do is state your opinion. You need to reiterate whether you think the advantages or the disadvantages are greater. You also need to summarize your main points. Now, it doesn't really matter which way round you do these, but I'm going to show you first. I'm going to give my opinion and then I'm going to summarize my points. Here's how I will do it. My stating opinion or my concluding sentence is, to conclude, I believe that the disadvantages of online classes are greater than the advantages. You could also write in conclusion here. Always say to conclude or in conclusion. And also, again, you can change disadvantages to cons and advantages to pros, or disadvantages to drawbacks and advantages to benefits. Doesn't matter, use ones that you haven't used before in the conclusion. Next thing, quickly sum up your main points. So a summary of the points is, even though some students benefit from working from home, they lose the key skills of working with their peers and socializing. That is the advantages versus disadvantages essay. If you would like to check out the agree or disagree essay, where we look at the same kind of thing but with a different question, click this video here. Good luck and smash those exams.